Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today and this special presentation of a deep dive into the wonderful world of GarageBand. Check this out. This is what we've got going on over on my other screen. We have not one, but two iPads. Yes, we are going to break down the difference. I have my iPad Air 2 here running iOS 14 and the latest GarageBand 2.3.9. I have my iPad Pro first gen still on iOS 13 running 2.3.8. What better way to find out the difference between these two than to have them both running at the same time, and we can check out what's new and what's different. Hi, if it's your first time here, my name is Pete. This is Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record, and release your best music, and we use GarageBand for a lot of that around here because it's pretty just usable. It's on all your iPhones, all your iPads, and it is free, and you can download it and you can create some great music, as a lot of the folks who are here live joining me here can attest to. So let's break down what we're going through here today. Yes, we will do some comparison because it's just going to be cool and fun to do that. We'll also let you know why you should or shouldn't update to the latest version, which is iOS 14 and GarageBand 2.3.9. And then we're just going to have some fun. We're going to create some music. We're going to see what it can do, put it to the test. And the reason that I'm using my iPad Air 2, not my iPad Pro, is that one of the things I've been hearing from folks is that reliability and optimizing performance are things that are coming up. But anyway, if you are, if you're in the market for an update, if you're considering it, let's give you the quick breakdown first of all. So, should you update to this version? Here is the basic line. If you watch nothing, none of the rest of this video, listen to this part. If you have a critical project that you're working on, if you're in the middle of a song in GarageBand, and if you've got some sort of deadline you're working towards, don't update. There's not enough in this update that's going to help you if you're working on something super important. If, however, you want to check out some cool new stuff, you're between projects, you've got nothing critical, there is nothing in here that's going to completely destroy or break your universe, as far as I go, in my experience and in most folks' experience. But we are going to go through all of that here today. If you missed the headline news, let's come back over here. If you missed the headline news, well, what's new about it? I know I've said this a few times, but we'll do it really quickly for any folks who are just joining in. So we have new sounds. We have a new set of keyboards here. If we come out here, recently downloaded keyboard collection. There it is. So we have the keyboard collection. So we have all of these sounds that we can use here. And there's 57 of them in total. So if we come over here and we bring one on into the screen, I just realized I meant to, that was a bit slow. I meant to actually bring my MIDI keyboard in here, but. So we'll be using the screen. We'll be using the touch screen. We might have to use some autoplay for the win, yeah? I think we'll be doing that. We'll be chucking this one on and dialing in some autoplay so we can get a bit of. That'll be fun. Anyway, we've got a heap of those instruments. The other part of them is that we have loops. So I showed these this morning in GarageBand Weekly, if you were here watching that show. So we have all of these different loops that we can bring in. So we can just throw in a loop using these new keyboard sounds and... Right? That's pretty epic. I kind of like that one. So yeah, you've got those two things there. The other things, I'll show them really quickly. We can come in here, we can add in the time ruler. So you can go to minutes and seconds, finally, instead of going with your bars. And then we have the ability to extend out our time here. We can go right up to 2,000 bars. Used to be 640, so you've got nearly 3 times as many bars to play with. Let's make it a 16 bar loop that we'll play around with here today. There we go. So the difference there is that we don't have any of that in this older version. So I don't have my mouse on here, but if you come in here, you can see recently downloaded. Well, you're not going to find any keyboard instruments here because we don't have the ability to do that. This is still running iOS 13 and it does not have any of the new stuff. So that is what you're not getting if you don't update. So if you don't need those new keyboard sounds, you don't need the extra space here, then that is what you will not get if you update. So yeah, it is entirely up to you which way you go with this. Like I say, I would recommend you got some critical stuff going on, maybe don't update. Hello to the folks who are here live. We'll jump over here and say good day. We've got Gino, Therese, hello. We've got Asa BT, he's in the chat. Cody, hello to you. Did someone say epic? Clearly epic. Hello, Steve. I know. I reveal your secret identity. Hello to Sion. Yeah, didn't know the 2000 bar. Yeah, that's a cool thing as well. And I'll see, we've got a bunch of other folks. Tom Rochelle, SM Borthwick, everyone. Stu Cash in the house. Hello there. Cody Walsh, 5:30 in Houston. And it's 9 o'clock and 9:30 over in Melbourne, where Deep Gravity's tuning in from, and as well as Jade Star. Hello, everyone. If you have things that you want me to test out, this is going from here on in. That was all the guts of it. From here on in, it's going to get a little bit more freeform. If you're used to my frenetic pace and me having scripts and notes and being right on track, this one's going to go a little bit differently, because we're going to go through, and what I'm going to produce is, at the end of this, I'll chop this all up and make a highlights package for those that just want to know, like, what is actually different, what's going on here. But for now, we're going to actually dive in and look at what folks have had to say. So I've gathered up all the notes of everything that everyone had to say, and then we're going to go through these one by one and see what goes on. So the main changes, let's start with changes that we weren't told about. So we've already gone through the main changes, which are the number of bars, the keyboard instruments, and the ability to show the time ruler. There's one more thing that's new, which will show on this iPad on your left, which we're going to go right back to the home screen. And what we can actually do is, if we tap and hold on GarageBand, we now get the ability to create new audio recording. So this is going to dump us straight into a new track, a new project, and open our audio recorder. We can turn on monitoring, we can hit record, and we can start recording straight away. That's not a bad little option. I don't know when I'm going to use. I'm usually already in GarageBand and just going to add a track. But again, for folks starting out, if you're using GarageBand for the first time, that's a good thing, because you don't even have to open it and then work out how to start a new project. You just tap and hold and it will open your new project. So that's number one thing, but that's not super good. But there's been some new things that folks have discovered here. And the first one, I'm going to shout out to my buddy Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide. Please do go check out thegaragebandguide.com for all your GarageBand needs, especially if you're a Mac user, because I don't use a Mac. And Patrick does. So if you want to get your Mac action on, go and check that out. But the sampler has changed. So we'll tap the sampler here on the right, which is our old version. This is what that's going to look like when you go into the sampler here. And to do a sample, you would hit the start button here and go, oh, and stop. And then, oh, we don't have the volume up on that one. We can start playing. We can start playing with some samples, yeah. So it's a very old sort. Oh, I didn't realize we actually did have the pitch bend and modulation wheels on the old one as well here on the iPad, and a velocity slider there. So let's now check out the new version, shall we? We're going to tap on the sampler, and it's going to pop us up into eventually the sampler. It's going to get there. Here we go. It's drum roll, please. There it is. So here's the first thing. I'm using the iPad Air 2, and I'm doing that deliberately because I wanted to get the performance of an older iPad, yeah? So we're actually going to compare this, because there's our dog bark sound, right? We've got our pitch bend and our modulation. Everything is pretty much the same here. It's just the layout that's different, right? So we've got the same things, the glissando in the middle there. We got the sustain. We got the up and downs there. Everything is pretty much the same. Big record button here is the different thing as opposed to the other way. And yeah, and you can select your sample up here. You can go to your library and grab your old samples there. You can still import samples. It's all the same. So if we grab a loop here, we'll grab these Ballad Chords. Oh, that was loud. We'll tap that to download that and bring these in. So yeah, we can use any of our loops or any of our samples in here. Etc. Yeah, so again, same. Over here, same stuff. So functionality-wise, there's no difference here, at least none that I've noticed. If you've been using this and you have noticed a new function, then please let me know. But I haven't found anything new. It's just a slightly different layout, as you can see there, between the old sampler and the new sampler here in GarageBand 2.3.9. let's continue on and go to our next one. So, the next one, also from Patrick. Now, this is via, I think, Pablo, one of his viewers, and I think Pablo's a viewer here on the channel as well. And that is that we've had some changes to our smart drums. So let's go back to our menu on both of these. So we'll come into drums, flick across, flick across. Now, smart drums are these ones here. If you take a look on your right here, these are your smart drums. So this is where you can grab a kick drum, grab a snare, some hats, cymbals, and you can make yourself a beat, yeah? Tap the power button to turn it off. Let's take a look at the new version of the smart drums. We'll tap here on the new one, and here we go. So again, we've got bring our drums in, bring our snare in. Nope, doesn't like it. I had the same problem this morning, so I'm glad it's when you're using a mouse, it won't let you drag and drop these. Well, there's a nice sort of 808 style kick drum. Bring in some hats. I'm having to use my fingers on here because the mouse isn't happy. So yeah, you can pull your beat in there. So again, it's completely cosmetic. And this one, there's legitimately nothing there. You got your reset button and your roll the dice, your randomizer. You got your on-off button there. You can change up which drum kit you're using here. And we still can only use those 6 drum kits. This is why I don't really understand why they haven't updated this on the beat sequencer, which you may have used as well. You can use any drum kit. On this one, you can only use those 6 drum kits. So go figure. And again, the lag here is quite significant. So I'm glad I'm using, it want me to rename it now. I'm glad that I'm using my iPad Air 2 because it has slowed down. A lot of folks have been reporting issues with some optimizing performance kicking in and some slowdowns happening. And once we've done the comparison stuff, we'll switch over and just pop the new one on the screen. And then I'll jump into an old project that has a lot of tracks so we can really start putting it to the test. We've got folks talking about inter-app audio over here. I'm not sure if there's... so Jade said inter-app audio. So we're talking about other things there. Tom Rochelle says, I see the jack icon on the new sampler, which means you can sample from inter-app audio. Could you always do that? I think you could. Let's just quickly go back and grab the sampler here on the old version. This is why it's good to have both of these up at once. Maybe you can't if we... Oh, no, it is. It's there in the bottom left corner. You can't... Oh, yeah, there it is. You can't really see, but if we tap down there, yeah, there it is. Inter-app audio. So, yes, we have had that same ability in the old version, but, yeah, it's just in a new location. So, if we check it on the new one here, we go to... Where were we? Sampler. I don't know why I haven't downloaded all the other packs on this iPad. Anyway... So, yeah, you've just got the jack in a slightly more prominent location there up the top, as opposed to in the bottom left where it was hidden away in the old version. So, I'll just turn this off. So the one other change here is that, yes, we do still have the ability to use your jack and to use an instrument from inter-app audio to sample. It is just in the bottom left in the old version and in the top right in the new version of GarageBand. And if you're watching this live and you're wondering why I do those pauses, it's that I'm chopping this up. Like, this is going to become a video that I put together for folks that want to just see just the facts and just the highlights. So, yeah, if I sound a bit weird at times, that's why. It's just so that there's edit points that I can actually pause and chop in. So, this is how we roll. Reusing content, I know, terrible. Let's continue on here, shall we? Now, go back to my notes. So, I've got 2 keyboards, 2 mices, got a lot of things going on over here. So, the EQ screen. All right, let's take a look at the EQ screen. By the way, if you've got any other things you've noticed here, please drop them in the chat. This is going to be our comparison way. Then this is our comparator, and then we're going to go in and do some other things. EmoBot9000 says, is there a way to see the pitch modulator from the sampler on an iPhone? Good question. I do have my iPhone here, so let's grab it and bring it. I don't have this shared on the screen, but I'll have a quick look. I have updated this one. I haven't updated this. So this is still on iOS 13. So, but I don't think it was in the old one, and I'm pretty sure it probably hasn't changed. But none of my iPhones are updated yet. If we do that, record. No, I don't think so. I think if you look at the screen here, we'll just jump back over here. I think if you're on iPhone, there you go. It's one of the things you get, the velocity and the pitch bend and the modulation. I don't think you get that on the iPhone. I think that's only on the iPads that we have here. Alrighty. But yes, if you got any other questions as we go, please throw them here in the chat. Let's continue on. So we're going to look at now. Let's take a look at EQ because this has changed quite significantly across the two. So if we go back to our track view and we go back to our track view, we don't have anything here, but we can open up our two sliders there. There's our volume and our mute and our pan. If we go into the little effects button here, our mixer and plugins and EQ, and we tap on the visual EQ on both of these, boom, here you go. You've got some changes, yeah? So again, the cosmetic change is that you've got a black one here, like the white on black versus a black on white. It does seem to be slightly bigger, but again, don't take that into account too much because we've got two different sized iPads here. We've got the iPad 12.9 inch on one side and the 9.7 on the other. But you can see here, we've got some additional markings. So we've got the 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80, 100 hertz bands down here in the bass. Then in your mids, you can see we've got 200, 300, 400, 500, 800, 1K, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 20K. So you've actually got all those markings. If we compare that to the original that we have over here, you can see that we've only down the bottom end here, we've only got 50, so 20, 50, 100, 200, 500, and then 1K up to 5K. So I don't think the functionality has changed at all. I think this is just giving you the additional like readouts here, because if we tap and move, say down here on the bass, that's at 200 hertz there, and this one's defaulting to 200 hertz there. So if we move those around, they do the same thing, yeah? So let's say we wanted to do what you'd normally do is roll off the bass. So say you wanted to roll off your bass under 60. That side, it's quite easy to do because we can just grab it, put it to 60, and then you know that you're there. I mean, if you look at the top there, if you look at the orange numbers above, you can see that it's got gain, it's got frequency 60 hertz, gain minus 24. So you can see it there, and that was there on the old one too. So if we bring this down, you can again see your frequency of 200 and your gain minus 24. So it is going to match, and I did that thing where the finger goes to the side. So it is going to match there. If we do the same thing here, we can just find a frequency. Say we want to boost it around 1.5K. So where were we? Yes, so we can, again, increase those. We just get slightly different lines there, and we'll just pull down this so we get a semi sort of matching pattern on both sides. Now, one thing that has changed here on the old one, if you boost up the volume here or down the volume, you can see that over on the right hand side. You can see what we're doing there. We're increasing it, and I use this quite often on the master track to bring down the volume a little bit like that, and then bring down the volume. But look at this. See what happens on the new version? It does this. So, I mean, I don't think it's actually going to make any difference because it is actually kind of doing that, but it's not exactly the functionality that I thought that you'd get with the EQ. So I'm not sure if this is going to change things just because of that visibility that we have there. So yeah, that's an interesting one, that here, as opposed to here where you boost and you put down the gain, it doesn't move your graphic. Now on the new one, you lift it and you pull it down, and it does indeed change your graphic. You double tap, it's going to go back to the middle there. And that was the other thing. Some folks were saying that the double tap wasn't working on some volume. We'll explore it in a moment, but when I double tap, it pops it straight back to the spot. So it's absolutely fine. So we've got anything here? Deep gravity, please hold. Yes, absolutely. Please hold the line while I fix up my notifications. So Asa BT says the numbers that VoiceOver says when changing EQ are actually accurate now. Well, that's cool, because we'll get to it in a moment, Asa, but Asa sent me an email with some things that weren't working well with VoiceOver on the new version. So we'll talk about that in a moment as well. Danny Broderick says, I just updated my 2018 iPad Pro to 14.1. Have I done the right thing? Maybe not. I mean, most people, and we'll go through the comments in a moment, but most people's comments are that it's been fine. It's been working fine. It's been a little slower because of the extra bells and whistles on there for some folks. But yeah, and it's a little bit more optimizing performance, but I don't know about anything else. So Gary Hub says, I was today years old when I learned. I was today years old. Oh, today years old when I learned of the double tap. Yeah, you gotta love the double tap. It works well. It works very well. Mark says, yeah, working on a couple of projects, but nothing critical, so I've updated already. Smooth sailing so far. Excellent. Yeah, very, very cool. All right, just see if we've got any other comments here before we continue on. No, I think we're good. So let's go back to our notes because I think we're close to the end of the actual additional stuff that we didn't have in the first one. So we've got the frequency, so the intentional updates we'll go with. So the intentional updates that they just didn't tell us about, the ones are smart drums, the sampler, and the EQ screen display. If no one else has anything else, what we'll do is we'll slip over into the notes that we've got from folks and go through some of these, and we'll see. In fact, what I can probably do, I don't think I need the second iPad here anymore, so we'll increase the screen size of the first one, and we'll keep this in reserve just in case we need it. So I'll just bring you back to me for a moment while I do this maintenance here. We will go to Reflector, and we will say, let's hide Big Dude. We'll send Big Dude on his way. See you, Big Dude. I know the names of my iPads are Airhead and Big Dude. And I have 3 iPads all called Airhead. Airhead 1, Airhead 2, and Airhead 3. Because it just named them that way when I got them. And I've never changed it. But Big Dude is the one dude that gets his own name. Because he's big. He's 12.9 inch. That's this sucker right here. Look at that. It's twice the size of my head. I told you this would be a weirder stream. This is not your usual Studio Live today. Alrighty. Let's come here and start exploring some other things. So we'll keep our iPad here. Actually, what I'll do is while I talk through this stuff, I'll make sure that we have. It's still downloading. I think there's an error with that. I'm trying to just download a song that is a full song that we can actually try here. Let's see if I have anything on my iPad here that might work for me. GarageBand. Oh, I've got another version of Imagination that's on my actual iPad. This will do because this one, the reason I want to use Imagination is I'm using close to 32 tracks from memory. Oh, no, I'm not. I thought this might be a really early version. Let's check it. Let's see. Oh, it is. Whoa, I have no idea what this is. This is obviously one that I've just played around with and used for demo purposes before. Let's not use that one. Let's use something different. I don't have anything else in here. See, I take my own advice and I keep everything on my iPad location. So, not on my iPad, on iCloud Drive location. Does anyone not like this is the new iOS 14 icons? These very plain blue on black. Anyway, I don't like them, but it's not a game changer. It's not anything that's going to impact me greatly. All right, so it has downloaded now. Okay, we'll grab this one. It's creating so many versions. Oh, and I don't have Lux installed on here. It's got so many conflicts on this now. I've opened it up on so many different things. Tom Rochelle says, that was awesome sounding. Yeah. Langston Reese, I don't see any updates. Any of the updates. Didn't see any of the updates. Well, I've covered them at the start of this show and on the previous video. If you're not seeing the actual updates on your device, make sure you're using a device that is compatible with iOS 14. You need a iPhone. So I probably should have said this at the start, right? So you need a iPhone 6S or above, an iPad Mini 4 or above, an iPad Pro, any of them, an iPad Air 2 or above, and the latest iPad Touch 7th generation. So you need one of those devices, otherwise you'll be stuck on iOS 12 forever, and unfortunately, none of the new iMovies and GarageBands and anything work on iOS 12. You can still use the old version, but you can't use the new one. So Deep Gravity says that was Imagination version of Chev Chelios ringtone from Crank. Yeah, probably was. But yeah, I don't think it'll be hitting the top of the charts anytime soon. Let's try this one. That's better. Again, I don't know what is with the mixing on all of these things. I've got those basses mixed. I'm going to have to do a quick remix on this before we use it as a demo. We'll just get rid of that one. Sometimes I sit around and wonder. All right, that's cool. We're going to go with it for now. So let's go back and start talking with all the things that are going on. Oh, by the way, Jeff is doing the iOS 14, doing the 14.1 update. Let us know how it goes, Jeff. You can be our guinea pig. You can let us know live because we'll probably still be here when it's done because I'll be here for a while today. So let us know how you go with that one. Let's come over here. So let's talk accessibility because I know there's Solrak, Melissa, Asa. There's a bunch of folks that use VoiceOver and are vision impaired, so can't see the screen to do things. So Asa sent me an email and said, here are the changes that I found in the latest version of GarageBand regarding accessibility. First, labeling of controls. Some of the controls on the top toolbar where the instrument browser and the mixer icon have been changed. Oh dear. In the previous version, if you wanted to access an instrument and the live loop browser, the button was labeled as instruments and loops. Now it's just called browser. Well, that's handy. Also in the settings screen, if you're changing the key of your project, the labels are different. We're in a different order. For example, that C used to be labeled as F. Now that has been fixed. Okay, win. So it's 1-1. Second, interaction with the screen. One very important part for interacting with the screen pertaining to keyboards has been fixed. Before, you would not be able to swipe up and down to change the octave when you're focused on the octave control. That's been fixed. Cool. 2 good, 1 bad. Also, the pop-up with My Songs and the sound chooser on the iPhone has been modified so that you can do the escape gesture to get out of it if you didn't mean to go in the first place. Well, that's good. 3 good, 1 bad. The bad news is, there haven't been any changes made to interface for AUV3 plugins accessible. This is just not the third-party ones. This includes the built-in ones as well. So there you go. There's 3 good things for our vision-impaired friends and 2 bad things. But it looks like there's been some improvements made, which is good. But it also looks like there's been some things that have been nerfed, which is bad, and something that hasn't been fixed, which is the AUV3 plugin. So yeah, that's a little bit, considering Apple are pushing AUV3 audio unit plugins so hard, it's a little bit unacceptable that you can't actually access, especially the ones that are the default ones. So if you don't know what we're talking about there, let's give a quick demonstration. We'll grab this bass track, and if we go in here to the plugins and EQ, and hit the edit button, it has Lux on here, which I'm going to take off anyway, because apparently I don't have it on this iPad. We'll delete that. If we wanted to add a different plugin here, you've got all of your standard effects. So these are the ones that do work. The 10, so you've got Bit Crusher, Chorus, Distortion, Flanger, Microphase, Overdrive, Track Echo, Track Reverb, Tremolo, Vocal, Transformer. But if you go to Audio Unit Extensions, look, we found something here too. If you go to Audio Unit Extensions, then these are all the ones that, even these Apple ones at the bottom here, these are the ones that Acer is saying that we don't have access to. We're going to move on to something from here, which is another thing that I've had in the list of things from people, and that is that all of our plugins here, our effects plugins, don't have their icons anymore. They've all got this default orange icon here, so none of these look like anything. And I hadn't noticed this on my iPad Pro, but I have noticed it here. I do have the Pro off to the side here, so let's. I'll just quickly open it. I wasn't going to use it in this show just because I wanted to try everything on the iPad Air 2. But just for comparison, let's just see if this is the same on the iPad as it is on the iPad Pro as it is on this iPad. Why is my cursor not working on my keyboard? Because I'm pulling it off. Come on, Magic Keyboard. Do your magic. There you are. All right, so I'm going to have a look here on the iPad Pro, and then I'll show you. So if we go to the edit option here, and we say, I thought it looked fine, because I remember, if you watched this morning's show, it was okay over there. Yeah, look, it's fine. Check this out. We'll bring me back over here. So on my iPad Pro, it is showing all of the correct icons. Whereas here on my iPad Air 2, if we jump back over here, it is not showing the correct icons. And they're both running the same GarageBand version, the same iOS version. So this is weird. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I suggest people do if they have these sort of problems. Usually it's just a bug and a restart can actually fix it. So let's do this live. Let's test out if my theory works and if the universal fix, the turn it off and on, is actually a thing that's going to work here. So what I'm going to do is go out of GarageBand and I'm going to close down all my apps now, just in case, because I got bitten by that messaging thing before. I'm just going to come out of that and close all my apps. So we'll just come back here now so you can see that all of my apps are closed out there. You can see I've got nothing running. If I double tap on my home button, nothing doing. So first of all, we'll just try going back into GarageBand again. So we'll tap on GarageBand and just see if it fixes itself straight away. So we'll go back into that same project. Where were we? Recent imagination. Look, Which version? This one. Oh, it's created another one. Oh, stop it. All right, so we'll load this one up. So yeah, loading up a project's taking a little while, but it's always taken about that time on here. We'll come back in to our options, plugins, edit, add a new one, audio unit extensions. Yeah, they're all the same. So I wonder, before we turn it off and on, let's try one more little test, and we'll come back in here to iCloud Drive. We'll hit GarageBand and we'll hit create a song. Need to clean up here. What if we create a new song? Maybe this is a thing that only happens on your old ones. So we'll turn on monitoring here. Cool. So if we come in here to our plugins and EQ, is this going to look the same? This will be interesting. So we'll come over here, audio unit extensions. Yeah, totally. So even a brand new song is looking the same. So why don't we do a quick straw poll here? Why don't, if you let me know, if you hear it live and you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, let me know. If you can check this, if you can test it, let me know what iPad or iPhone you're using to test it on, if you're on iOS 14 or iPad OS 14, and then is it showing correct icons or dodgy orange? So if you can just comment the type you're using and then correct or dodgy orange, that will be good. And then we can do a quick straw poll. But in the meantime, it looks like it is, I don't think it's going to fix it. It looks like it's an actual bug, but it's weird that it's only on one particular iPad and not the others. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off completely. So I'm going to do a complete hard reboot, which is holding down the power button and sliding to power off. I probably could have showed you this bit. So holding down that, slide to power off. It's going to go away and disappear because it can't share the screen anymore while it's off. I will restart that. I'll just give it 10 seconds. Always give it 10 seconds. I don't know why. I was always taught when you power something down, don't power it back on straight away. I always give things 10 seconds at least before I do it. So let's turn this back on. Tap and hold down on the power button that Apple don't like us even having anymore. And we'll continue on. Jade Star's conspiracy here. It's they removed the icons on purpose. They would stop showing the old versions anyhow when you added multiple instances of an AUV3. There's always been weird little glitches of them turning orange just randomly. Jeff says, is that Among Us icon? It would be Roblox on my iPad Air too. Yeah, I've got Roblox, Minecraft, and just yesterday my children come at me and they're like, can we play Among Us? And of course I have to do the fatherly thing of working out what the heck Among Us is. So I have to go online like an old person and say, Google, Among Us, safe for kids? And then I did some exploring and I'm like, it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst. It's not Fortnite. So I do let them play games, but only ones where, there's no advertising, no microtransactions, none of that stuff. Anyway, you're here for GarageBand, not for hearing about my parenting style and the games my children play. Let's go back in. Let's go back in to GarageBand. We've got this back up now. Boom. Right, we'll be as kind as we possibly can. In fact, let's just go on my iPad. Let's see if the location that we use is any different. I don't think it will be, but we'll come in here. We'll go into this one and we'll add a track. We'll even record something just to give it a fair go. So we'll bring up a keyboard sound here. Oh, it's we're still in our dog bark. I can't do it. I can't make you have to listen to dog bark anymore. Let's grab one of these new keyboard sounds because that's what we're here for, yeah? What's the supporting cast piano? That's cool. Let's build up a bit of a track here while we experiment. So we'll grab some autoplay action. Yeah, the lag. Someone said it's laggy. You're not seeing any of this. I'm not mirroring my screen. You're seeing my logo. Well done. Alrighty. It's coming up. It's getting there. We have liftoff, yes. And we just need to unplug and replug. And then we need to slide it on across because it's over here. And here it comes. You ready? Boom. There we go. So there's my iPad again. Those bezels on the iPad Air 2 look like so quaint now, don't they? I actually kind of like the bezels. I like my home button. So I'm a bit of a fan of the bezels. So let's come in here and add some autoplay. You always got to go autoplay 4 because it's always the most complicated one. We're going to hit record and let's just crack in some autoplay, shall we? Do. That was terrible. I tapped it too late. When you're doing autoplay, I'm going to do that again. Sorry, I can't live with that. When you're doing autoplay, you got to tap the screen just before it hits the bar marker. Let's try that again. 2, 3, 4. All right, there you go. We got 4 bars of it. I just wanted something to play around with because I was getting bored just EQing nothing. All right, let's just loop this sucker, tap it, loop it, and then we will check this out. Now I think it'll probably do the same thing. I'm not confident that we're going to get the icons not being orange, but nope, they're orange. Jeebus. So they're orange here on the iPad Air 2. Let's go over to the straw poll and we'll see what folks have actually got here. We'll see if anyone... So Deep Gravity says that's how it looks on mine. So yeah, we'll find out if we've got... So Cody Walsh has the correct icons on iPhone 11, iOS 14. Cool. So iPhone 11, we've got a yes. We've got a thumbs up for that one. Sion, correct color, iPad 6th Gen. There you go. And that's iOS 14.1. Tom Rochelle says iPhone 7s, actual icons showing correctly for me, and that's iOS 14.1 as well. Where are we? Generic orange for Mark, and he's on the iPad 2018, iOS 14.1. Right, okay, we'll see. Yeah, that was a bit of CNC Music Factory, wasn't it? Everybody dance now. Mark says icons are good on iPhone SE2 with 14.1. Things that make you go, yeah, I know, right? That was the CNC Music Factory, wasn't it? Let's have a go. For all those you're watching this, is the new update good or no? Yes, we're finding a few flaws with it. Overall good. Seems to be the newer your hardware. So if you've got like an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 10 even, if you've got an iPad Pro, it seems to be okay. Some of the older iPads seem to be not so good. So, yeah, that's where we're at the moment. But we're continuing to dive into it. This is one of the problems we have. So a few of us, particularly it seems to be iPad Air 2s and iPad 2018. So what are they? So what I might do, it might be a particular chipset that they're using, maybe. So yeah, maybe we'll investigate that in a bit more detail. But yeah, if anyone else checks it out, let me know. Let me know if that's good. What you're getting there, but we're going to have to live with that for now. Let's go back to our notes. If you're just joining us here live, what we're doing is going through all of the feedback that I've received so far from various folks about different things and things that are working and not working. Now, I've got a buddy, Marcel, who emails me from time to time about GarageBand. He uses GarageBand, and he's an extreme user. He's a very heavy GarageBand user, and he always tells me the things that are not working and some of the bugs, and he's given me a few emails here. So he said that when you double-click on the volume slider, it no longer moves to 0 dB. So this is one that I haven't been able to do. So I would love a bit of a straw poll if you're using GarageBand, if you can follow along at home with me. So I'm assuming that Marcel's referring to this volume slider. So if we move the volume down, if we double tap, it moves back. Oh, no, it doesn't. Oh, no, it doesn't at all. Okay. Yes, it does. It doesn't with the mouse, though. With the mouse, I can't seem to double tap properly with the mouse anyway. But with my finger, double tap brings it back. No problem at all. So maybe it's a mousing thing that one is. Let's just check in another few places. So if we go into plugins and EQ, we'll go to the visual EQ. Let's just try this volume. Pop the volume down there. Double tap. Yep, brings it back. Double tap. Brings it back. So I haven't found that bug, and even here on the old iPad Air 2, the double tap on the volume does seem to still bring it back to center. So perhaps if someone else has that, let me know, and we'll continue testing that. But for me, the volume slider seems to be working fine. If we move the volume like that, then we just double tap anywhere on it, it's going to go right back. So even if I put the volume up to max, and I'm going to double tap right at the bottom of the volume, it puts it back to that Unity volume. So not something that I'm having happen. Now, another thing Marcel said that the solo and mute buttons. So in track view, when you swipe right to open the track headers, so that's this action here. So if you're here like this, if you swipe right, you've got your track headers there. Track headers, and click on the headphone, it turns yellow. Yes, it does. If you click on mute, it turns blue. Yes, it does. However, the track settings on the left, the headphone button also turns yellow. However, the track settings to the left, the headphone button also turns yellow, but the mute button only gets darker. There's no longer blue. So is this track settings here? Ah, it does too. Look. It doesn't actually turn blue. So look, there's your solo. So there's two places where you can represent your solo and your mute. So you've got two places here. If you slide out on here, you've got solo and mute there, and they turn blue when it's muted, yellow when it's solo. If we bring out this slider and we do the same sort of thing here, check this out. There's your solo. We'll turn them both off. There's your solo, yellow, and your mute. It doesn't actually take it blue. It just makes it this darker color around the outside, but no actual blue inside. So that's a bit of a bug. It does make it hard to see. Yeah, you're right. It does make it hard to see if it's actually muted or not, because it's just a little darker background, whereas what it should be is, yeah, the darker background's okay, but it needs to have that blue color. So somebody in the programming team just forgot to change the white color to blue when you click the solo and mute buttons. So there you go. There is a bug, and it is confirmed. Tick. So that one is the thing. Anyone tried that volume thing? The double tapping, and see if it's good. Oh, CNC stands for Clive and Cole. There you go. I didn't know the CNC Music Factory were named after Clive and Cole. Yeah, interesting stuff. Let's continue on. Yeah, let me know if anyone does try the volume one, and we'll see if that one works. Let's keep going here and see if there's any other things that we have. So we've gone through EQ, we've gone through the EQ screen, the sampler, the smart drums. Now, someone said that sharing a song via iMessage is not working. So that's an interesting one. I'll try something here. I'll send this track, this great track that I've created here. Better give it a name, hey? So no, tapped in the wrong spot. Tap and hold there. All right, we're going to call this one CNC Goes. Things that make you go, It's actually, isn't it? So if we want to share this, as you may know, we select, we tap there, we hit the share button. Now I'm just going to take this off the screen for a moment, just to make sure that there's no details on this one. But all I'm doing is clicking on song, and then I'll just share it as a 192 kilobit M4A file. It's going to do its share thing, just because I know I've got some people's names when it goes to my share screen here. So you'll get a share screen that looks like this. And this is how we share our things. So we'll try iMessage here and see if this is going to work. So I'm going to tap on iMessage. I'll put this off the screen again, sorry, just because I've got to protect the privacy. All it's doing is exporting the song at the moment, and we'll just see if this is going to work. Song cannot be exported. A song can only be exported if it contains... Oh no, I got this thing. So I've never actually had this before. I'm going to take a screenshot of this because people have told me about this, but I've never tried to do it. So it says here, a song can only be exported if it contains a recording of a touch instrument or a live loops performance into Tracks View. To record live loops, tap. So yeah, if you just use a sample or a loop or something, then it won't let you do that. You've got to actually have more than one. So I've never come across this because I've legitimately never tried to do this. So what we need to do is we need to come back into CNC Goes, and because we've only used autoplay, we've actually muted it anyway, so it would have exported nothing. But what we need to do is bring in something and actually add something original. So why don't we just add in a bit of a bed here or something. So what's the powered tube piano? This sounds fun. So we'll just add something in to go with this. So if we hit record. That was really terrible. I didn't even hit the right notes. We're going to give you a quick editing lesson here. So we'll tap this one, we'll edit it. So the first note was okay, but we need to edit these others. Yeah, let's put it down there, and we'll fix up the timing too. Let's try that one. Boom. All right, that's going to do it. There you go. We're good. So now what it should do, because we've got an actual performance in here, it'll let us export it. So we'll try all that again. We'll hit select, we'll tap it, we'll hit share. We'll share a song, we'll share it as high quality, and I'll just take us off here while I do the rest of this bit, because it'll pop up and ask me to do things and show some names there. We'll remove those. You've got some jazz chords going on, Jeff, right? Absolutely. So we'll try this via message. So I'm just going to tap on message here. I know you can't see this. It's exporting the song. This time it might actually export something. We'll see how we go here. Hi, can you judge my new song? I do show your music live, which I do on the weekends, on Friday nights, Saturday mornings. So yes, I can, but not right now. So email me, pete@studiolivetoday.com, put YML in the subject, and I'd be happy to take a look. So it's brought up, it's got it looks like it's working fine here. I'm gonna send this to myself. So I'll just show you what it looks like here on the screen. If we come back over here. So yeah, we've got new message there. We've got the M4A down the bottom here that's attached. So that's all cool. The one thing is you can't send it as a WAV file or anything too large because that won't work. But yeah, this way around it should work. So I'm just going to come back here and take you off again a moment while I put my name in here. I'll see if this works. Just iMessaging it to myself. And we will send it. And send. Boom. And it seems to have been fine. We'll give it a moment to come on through. And then this is a message. I won't mind popping up if it actually pops up. To be honest, I don't recommend using iMessage anyway because it's so much better to maybe upload to Google Drive or to Dropbox or somewhere like that, or even iCloud Drive, Apple's own infrastructure, and then share it from there. Especially if you're sharing projects, I would zip them up and then share them using iCloud Drive. It works a lot better, in my humble opinion. Alrighty. Yeah, Gary Hubs, your riff is derivative. Please try again, right? Exactly. I'm surprised it let me even do that. It's like, no, that's not. And yeah, you need the hands, you need the jazz hands to go with the jazz. So yeah, that seemed to send, did it? I don't know. I'll go to my iMessage over here and see what it did and what I got. Probably wouldn't give me a notification. Yep, there we go. Attachment, one audio file. And I know you can't see it because, again, I've got all sorts of numbers and things in here. But if we tap it and if we hit play, yeah. Come on now. You know what time it is. It's folk time. I actually asked over on Facebook, so shout out to my friends over on the GarageBand users Facebook group. If you are over there, I actually asked, like, what bugs have you had? So why don't we go through and let's go through the top 10, 20. No, how many have we got here? We got a lot of bugs. There was about 15 people that responded, so I thought I would read through these. I won't use their full names here because it was on a group here. I'm already doing enough stuff with that today. But let's go through and take a look at what folks had to say. So Anthony Trotter says, mine stalls out. Oh, I just did the wrong thing again. Anthony says, mine stalls out and won't update when I tried it the other day. So yeah, apparently some folks are having issues with actual downloads. It is a large update. So I'll tell you that. You do need to be careful to ensure that you've got enough space. So if you don't have enough space, I think it's, about 1 gig worth? Let's jump into GarageBand and take a look-see, shall we? Oh, my GarageBand just did a weird thing where it went from night mode to day mode, back to night mode again. Let's jump in and take a look at this. So if we come into, what am I looking for? What were we actually looking at? Oh, my message failed to send. But it did send. I got it. That's weird. What was I just doing? I'm losing my train of thought here. I think I've been live streaming too much this weekend. Yeah, space. So we're gonna have a look at how much space. Let's go back to our CNC song, shall we? Boom and boom. So if we go over here, it should tell us how big all of these sound packs are. If we go to the sound library and we tap on this one, so make sure that I always recommend having like 1 or 2 gigabytes of space free to actually make sure that your things are running okay. So it's only 122 meg. For some reason I thought it was a big like 1 gigabyte worth of samples kind of pack, but turns out it's only 122 megabytes. So go figure. That's the thing. Yeah, I know I'm on a roll. Exactly. I'm doing so well here. I'm going. Gary said, "What was that joke meme? GarageBand exports straight to trash." Yeah, I know. Fun times, hey. Let's do some more things that we have from people. So our buddy Tim had said I had an issue. I'll just come back to here. Don't trust myself now. Tim said I had an issue loading the current track I'm working on, but it was only temporary. I noticed when you select audio unit extension, the presentation is now the same as the GB ones. Yeah, so Tim is having the same problem with those displays of the icons. Olivia says, no bother for me so far here. Thanks a million. No problem. James said, I posted yesterday in the group that I can no longer double tap the volume bar to restore the equal level. It's minor, but that functionality loads. And again, I'm not having the same problem. So I can't replicate that one. So unless that was a very early thing that they've somehow patched, I'm not sure. So if anyone else does have that, please let me know. So Jeff's saying that 14.1 must be a huge update. Mine's still going. It's like being on dial-up here. I hear you, my friend. So yeah, that may be what they were saying, that the iOS 14 was the actual big one. Let's go in and see. Actually, I'll be able to see that because if I grab my other iPad that I haven't updated here, it'll tell me the size of the update. And be careful that I don't actually update it over here. Boom, and software update, checking for update. iOS 4, oh, surely moly. iOS 14.1 is 2.23 gigabytes. That's like almost as bad as 1.21 gigawatts. 2.23 gigabytes. So the other thing to consider about updating, I'll just pop this off because I'll add this into my highlights video. The other thing to consider about updating is the size of iOS 14.1 is 2.23 gigabytes. So you do need a heap of space, and you usually need about twice as much as that on your device. So maybe folks that are having trouble with the new GarageBand is because if you're updating to iOS 14.1 or iPadOS 14.1, then perhaps you're having the issues with that. With the size of it. So you might need to go in and delete some things, delete some photos and other things from your devices. Might be a good idea. Alrighty, let's continue on. So we've got some more comments from folks here about the new update. If you're joining us here live, we're talking about the new GarageBand iOS update to version 2.3.7, some of the pros and cons and otherwise. So Melissa said, I haven't had any new bugs in the new version, GarageBand 2.3.9. Jeffrey says, so far so good. Wider LC5 and Nembrini apps all work fine. That's cool. Junior says the EQ section messed up. When you move down or up to level your mix, it brings up the bass, mid, and treble too. So yeah, this is related to what we were showing before with the EQ. If you missed that part where we were talking about it, I'll just show that here again on our screen. So this is the new EQ layout. And if you come in here to Visual EQ, you'll notice that, yeah, we've got these additional markings, which is cool. But the problem is that when you bring it up like that, it does that. And when you bring it down like that, it does that. Now, technically it was doing that before anyway, because remember, EQ is just a volume dial for your frequencies. So when you bring your EQ up and when you bring your EQ down, all it's really doing is balancing out those different frequencies. So it is actually what it's doing. So because it's all just relative, it's actually doing that. But the problem here is that for something like this, where you want to go down to zero, if you're at there, you can see it's not actually dropping it to zero. So it's dropping it down to here, but it's not actually cutting it all the way, because if you then grab this and pull it down, look, it's pulling it down further. So I'm going to have to do some testing. It's going to be hard to work out exactly how that's functioning. But yeah, again, double tap, double tap, double tap. So all of the double tap to normals are working, but for some reason, yeah, that's not. But I haven't come across a way to do that. To make it show that. Yeah, Tom said, yeah, folks are actually talking about the data now of how long this is actually taking. So Tom says it took me a long time to update, over 30 minutes. Yes, and I did just say gigabytes. It is called a gigabyte. Sorry, it gets 14 hectares per liter of kerosene. Yeah, I joke around with that because in the movie Back to the Future, classic movie, the doc says 1.21 gigawatts. Where am I going to get 1.21 gigawatts? And then Marty McFly goes, "What the hell is a gigawatt?" It's gigawatt. So it's never been gig. So when I talk about gigabytes, I jokingly say gigabytes, but as a bit of a homage to that classic movie that got a few things wrong. I mean, a movie that's about time travel, I know, and I'm picking on it because it says gigawatts instead of gigawatts, but anyway. That's just me. That's how I roll. So yeah, your EQ is different, but I don't think it's going to function differently. I don't think Apple would have rebuilt the whole EQ engine here. I think it's probably going to be the same, but that's just me. Let's come back in here and look at some other comments. So yeah, we've talked about Junior. So Stephen says, the recordings of the FX I made of my songs have all shifted slightly after the upgrade. Huh, it's subtle, but because they're dance tracks, precision means a lot, so I'm going to have to redo them all. Annoying. Well, that is annoying. So if you haven't used effects, let's go in here and test this out. I mean, we're not going to really be able to test it out because we can add some effects, but we won't know the before and after of them. But your effects is this button here, and what our friend here is saying, that it was adding some effects. So if we hit the record button here and effect this one, and we add some effects like that using the repeater, well, if this moves, so if this has been slightly shifted, now if it's completely shifted, if the whole thing moves and it's just at a different spot and you can just move it back, that's not so bad. But if each like press of that, you can see the precision you need to have good effects when you're doing a dance track is pretty intense. So I mean, no one would actually do anything like that, but say this was here, and now take a listen. You can hear why this would be a problem. So I haven't come across that, but then again, I don't use FX on anything really, because I don't create a lot of EDM or dance music or anything like that. So that's something to keep an eye out for. But if anyone else has that sort of thing going on with their FX, then let me know as well. Let's go back to our list of things. So our buddy Gway Gway, hello Gway Gway Karu, I know you won't mind a shout out because a fellow YouTube creator, Gway Gway, says, other than the quick mess around with the sampler, no real use. Has the update brought the ability to set MIDI channels on each track, or still in Omni mode? Still in Omni mode, my friend, yeah. So we don't have the ability to do multi-channel MIDI, and that is something that I know Jade I'll be channeling Jade here, but use Auria Pro or use Cubase's 3. If you want control over your MIDI channels and you want to have different instruments on different channels and use all 16 of those channels, then yeah, you'll need to do that. So keep that in mind. Right. Let's continue on. So I'm just checking my actual messages now, rather than putting them on the screen for others to read, because I'm special. Let's continue on here and go to our next one. So Frederick said, no bugs found, works well. And here's the thing, you got so many people, some saying great, some saying no problem. Joey, and again, I'll shout him out because our buddy Joey Helpish, also a great creator and creates videos and helps people create music, says it's really showed the age of my 2016 iPad Pro. I'm in optimizing performance hell. So I'm gonna have to try the same thing, Joey, and update my iPad Pro first gen, because yeah, as you've probably been seeing here on the iPad Air 2, we have had a few challenges with some lagginess going on here. So loading up some larger projects, it was lagging quite a bit. So I hear you. I haven't had optimizing performance yet, but we'll try. We'll try and break it at the end of this video, which is coming up pretty soon because we're at the hour mark. At the end of this video, I will try to break it and see how we go with that. All right. We've got Derek said, so far, relentless optimization and crashes on songs that I've been working on before the upgrade. Faders on the track reverb effect have completely disappeared on some tracks. Haven't been able to get them back yet. So the faders on the track reverb effect. That's weird. Previously recorded drums, cymbals turned into bassy blips. Oh, switch kits back and forth and it seemed to resolve. Okay, so yeah, Derek's having some significant issues there. So let's just test out. So we talked about, well, he mentioned it was on our track reverb. Let's add some track reverb here, shall we? If we edit and we take off the distortion on this one and we add in some track reverb. See, we won't be able to replicate it, I'm sure. So he's saying that, yeah, that the dials here were just disappearing and not being able to be used, which is very strange. So yeah, seems to be all fine here, but that is something that I'll definitely have to keep an eye on. And here's the big problem: it seems that the differences are different for everyone. So some people are having zero problems. Some people are having small annoying bugs. For other people, it seems to have completely their projects, especially projects that they've already created. So that's really weird. And I mean, and I agree. I agree with Sion. I really like this update. If it works for you, it's great. And I think it's working for many people, but it's not working great for everyone. Buzztone says, can you open Fab filters on this new update? I think you can. I haven't got any of the Fab filter plugins to test. I haven't actually used them before, so maybe I need to grab them and check it out. Cody also says, I say overall a good update. I'm a fan of the widgets. See, I haven't played around with the widgets either. I've been so busy putting GarageBand to the test and trying to break it that I haven't actually played with any widgets myself. So let's go back to our list, shall we? Back to our list of stuff and see what else we've got. So Mark says, my positive grid apps aren't working all in GarageBand. I haven't bothered since the launch. Lots of crashes, optimizations happening more frequency. David said, I had a crash as soon as I open it. Nothing major, but I'm sure to save my work more along the way. And yeah, saving your work is always a good idea. Our buddy Satish says, since the update, GB sometimes quits on me in the middle of my session and takes me right back to my iPad home screen. So some more crashes being reported there. And we've got one saying, just had the Moog Model D AU plugin isn't recognized. Also, the faders on the compressor is on max, but on the bass and treble, both of these are turned down completely. So I think we're kind of learning here that, again, it's horses for courses and different people are really having different problems. Look, Gary says Patrick was over the moon with the update. Yeah, so Patrick over at the GarageBand Guide was happy with it. I'm happy with it too. To be honest, there's some cool stuff in here. There's definitely some cool sounds. I really like the new keyboard sounds, which we'll play around with again to finish off here in a moment. But yeah, other people seem to be having more and more problems. So let's come in here and take a look at this track again. In fact, what we'll do is we'll load up a track that has a lot of tracks on it. So we'll go back to this Imagination, which was not that one. It was not the on my iPad version. We were over here on my iCloud Drive, and we were in my in progress, and we were, no, it wasn't. It was my completed, and we're going to have so many versions of this. Look at this. It's every time I open it, it's like conflict resolved. Lux is not installed. I love how it says Lux is not installed on your computer too. It's interesting. It doesn't say on your device. It says computer. But I don't know. I know they do say iPad is a computer, but maybe not. Let's come in here and take a listen. So this is my song Imagination. So this has got a lot of tracks going on here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and break it. I'm going to try and add a bunch of processing. I know we've got backups of this because it's all over my screen there. I'm going to create some new tracks on here. So let's just see if we can add some funky new keys using the new keyboards here. So we'll come in here, we'll find a new keyboard to add, and we'll try and recording something over the top of it. More sounds, keyboard. What's something that I haven't played around with yet? What about a taped marimba? Yeah. Maybe not. Old VHS tape synth. Hello. I like me some VHS. Now I've got no idea. I cannot remember what key this song is in, so I'm just going to have to play a little bit to work out what I can play here. Oh, it's in C. It's in C minor, so that makes it easy. I might just try and play a little bit of that sort of action here. Let's try it. All right. So I've just recorded that in. You wouldn't be able to hear it very well because it's a pretty big track, but I'm really just trying to break it at this point. I'm trying to make it go slower. And you can see there, I've just hit 32 tracks. When you've got no plus button anymore, you know you've hit 32 tracks. So we might have to delete some things to play around with this some more. But here is this little synth sound. We'll hit the mute the solo button there, turn the volume up and take a listen to what we played in there. And we'll quantize this to a 16th note because it was a little off the grid there, and hopefully that will make it sound a bit better. Yeah, that's cool. All right, now let's just play around with some other things. So what we want to do here, because it goes up, is we want to copy it here, and we want to paste it into the next section. Paste. And then we're going to transpose this up. So we're going to tap on it, we're going to edit it, because what we should be able to do is just grab all of this and then just pull it on up. So the first lot is there, and the second lot is here. So we just need to grab this. Now, will my mouse let me do this? I can't remember. Yeah, there we go. And so there's our first note. Move it all up like that. So then we should get a nice smooth transition between these two. And again, I'm doing all this to try and really just make GarageBand just really angry. Yeah, that's cool. And then I think it goes back down again after that. So we'll just do that real quick. We'll grab that one. We'll do boom like that. And then it goes back to the regular one for the rest of it. So just, again, we're tapping around here to try and break it, but it won't. Let's add a whole bunch of effects to this now to try and break it some more. So we'll go in here. We've already got the micro phaser on there. Here's our list of effects. If you missed this earlier, here's one of the problems we have. All of our effects are orange. We don't have anything in here. So even if we wanted to use one of these, it's not going to be right. So let's add the LRC5, because that's one that's going to get a bit complex, and we'll do a bunch of EQ moves. We don't really care what we're doing here. We'll just give it a nice wavy pattern. Woo! There we go. And then add another effect, shall we? Again, I really don't like that these third-party effects look like this. That's got to be fixed, surely. Why don't we add something like the tape cassette? Where are you? See, I can't find them because they don't look right. I don't think I have it on this one. Why don't we put the chorus? Let's put some of Fred Corvest's chorus on here. See, and that's ruined because Fred has some really cool looking logos. We'll just grab the classic 6A chorus on here, and let's just not make it too wet. So let's see what this sound has done now as we play it. That's a beefy tone. I wasn't even trying, but we accidentally got a nice beefy tone there. So yeah, we can bring this back into the mix. We'll do this. We'll tap this off. We'll play it. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty stable. I'm not getting optimizing performance. I'm not getting crashes. It's not super laggy. It's pretty responsive when I hit play. Stop. Track moves around, and yeah, so we've got 32 tracks on here, pretty full up, lots of audio tracks, lots of virtual tracks, all doing different things. It's doing okay. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 in terms of stability for me. And again, we're using the iPad Air 2 because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to be, you got the iPad Pro, it's got 6 gig of RAM, it's got the, the A14 processor, A13. It's got a high-end processor. This one, it's running the old A9 processor. It's only got 1 gig of RAM, or one, I think. So yeah, if it can run it, then everything else can. So I'm trying to break it, folks. I promise you, I'm trying to break it, but it's not breaking. Now, one of the things that Jay was asking about was, it's not GarageBand related, but Positive Grid have had some issues with some of their apps in the new one, and Final Touch in particular was one app that wasn't doing great things. So why don't we try and send this over to Final Touch and see if that's going to work, because that may be where things actually get broken. So we'll save out of there. What I'm going to do is grab this project. I'm going to select it. I'm going to share it. Now I'm just going to take the view off here for a moment while I hit the share button, because it'll bring up some things. I'm just going to share the song. This time I'm going to share it as an uncompressed WAV file and hit share. It's going to do its thing. It's going to ask me where I want to send it, and I'm going to hit open in. You always have to hit open in after you do that. Lux is not installed. I know. It keeps telling me Lux is not installed. It should still export anyway and just not put that. So we'll see. We'll see how we go here. Here is exporting our song. Sorry, Gary Hubs. I should have put DLO1, made it crash. Slather some on there. I'll try that afterwards. We'll crack on and we'll get a bit of DLO1 on there and see if that does any difference. Yeah, what is iOS 14 done to Bias FX? I think it's not working still. I think it's just not doing a thing, because I don't actually use Bias much. I've just sort of started playing around with it, but apparently Bias FX 1, I think, is just not supported at all. I think, Jade, you showed a screen where it just said, no, no dice, not going to happen. But yeah, others, I think Bias FX 2 might be okay. I'm not sure. But yeah, if someone wants to clarify that, any bias users in the house, then let me know. Alrighty, I'll go back while we're waiting for that to export. Let's just see if we have any other final comments from other folks from during the week. So Christian made a comment on my original video saying the new update for GarageBand ruined a lot of the songs that I had made. For some reason, it changed the sound and tone of the instruments that I'd recorded. Now I have to go back to like 5 of my songs to fix it because of this update. How does that ever happen? So again, mileage may vary. Oh no, guess what? Guess what we got? We got this. We got the great error. Take a look. Boom. Yeah. So this is what I'm taking a shot of this. I tried to create this error for a video last week, and I couldn't do it. So there you go. Now I've got my screenshot of this error for the future when I want it. So continue without these extensions. We'll try. It'll probably fail. Usually just fails at this point. We'll let it keep doing its thing. We'll let it keep exporting in the background while we continue on. Other comments we got from Alan said, I can't seem to find my samples in the sampler with this new update. If you could help, that would be great. That's a bit weird. It did. If you hadn't updated your iOS for a while, it did move some things around. So when I first updated on this iPad Air 2, it said, if you've got some stuff stored here, we've moved it to here. But it was really all the iOS 13 moves. So it should have done all that with iOS 13, but if for whatever reason maybe you went from iOS 12 to 14, I don't know why you would, but yeah, sometimes it moves some things around. So all your stuff should be in the iCloud Drive location or in the GarageBand file transfer location, one of those places. So yeah, you should be able to find it. It's still trying to export. It's still trying its little heart out here and seeing if it's going to work. I'm intrigued now to see whether it ever finishes or if it just sits there on 60%. Let's go back to a live update. Here's what's happening over here with our song exporting. It's not happening. So Desolate Morning, hello to you. And so, should I update GB? I don't know. I don't know what the conclusion is. Should you update or should you wait and see? I would, if you are, I'll repeat exactly what I said before. If you are working on a critical project right now, do not update. Do not update and take the risk because it might be fine, but it might not be. So given that it's probably been about 80-20, about 80% of people have had minimal or zero issues with the new update, including myself. 20% of people seem to be having anywhere from minor to significant issues with the new update, to the point where some people are saying they're having to fix their tracks. No one's really saying it's, deleted my whole collection or I can't function anymore, but it's more those annoying kind of things. Here you go. It's worked. It's actually successfully given us this. Now, this is interesting. When we come back over here, go back over to this one. Yeah, look at these icons. Everything's gone so simple. Why does it? We keep bouncing backwards and forwards, don't we? We're now in back to the simple. We're in the iOS, like back in the iPhone 4 with like the same bezels and the roundness, so the squareness on the sides. We've got these logos again. All the icons have gone back to remember Web 2.0? Remember when everything just went big fonts and nothing was 3D anymore? Everything was just flat and big and sort of pastel colors with the high contrast. Yeah, that's kind of what we got here. Everything's just white on gray. So, see, I can't tell. Like LumaFusion, the logo, that's supposed to be blue with some colors in it. All of these logos are just not doing it for me. So let's see if we can find Final Touch on here anyway. Might have to go to more. All right. Where are you, Final Touch? There you are. Okay, please cross your fingers and your toes because we're going to try and export from GarageBand to Final Touch, a 32-track project that we've just rendered out as a wave, and we've just updated on our iPad Air 2 to iOS 14, or iPadOS 14.1. Let's hit the button. There's Positive Grid. It's loaded. Final Touch would like to find and connect. Yeah, okay, whatever. That's fine. Okay. All right. Okay. It's loaded up there. Let's hit play, shall we? That bass synth that I added is a little bit intense there. Let's grab a preset, shall we? If you haven't used If you haven't used Final Touch by Positive Grid, do check it out. It's super cool. Let's and I've got my own presets that I used in my album. Let's put the preset I put on my song College on here, because this will just be fun to put some rock presets on something that is very much not a rock song. Let's listen now. Off. Sometimes I sit around and wonder how it is I got here and if I'm going under. All the complications of my life, all the times when I could have reached a knife in my back to the days when I was a little... Not actually a bad master, is it? So, yeah, there you go. Positive Grid's Final Touch seems to be working fine and dandy here. And we can go through, we can slide in the different items. Oh, I've got to turn it back on first. We can slide in the different items. We can make some adjustments here. Yep, everything seems to be okay. Seems to be working fine. Our dynamics processing, yep, all good. Make it pop. That's a multi-band compressor, by the way. Very, very cool. Great on your mastering if you're going to try. Yeah, so there you go. It works okay. So I haven't been able to completely break it. Still had that problem with the extensions, but that happened in the past. I don't think that's an iOS 14 thing. But for this one, yeah, I tried. We tried to break it. We tried to get it done, but no, didn't work. Didn't break it. So, yes. So in terms of that, and I think Desolate Morning, to answer your questions, yeah, from the sound of things, I'm not sure I want to update. Yeah, look, it's entirely a personal choice, but I think that what we've proven here is that the differences, so the changes, unless you're dying for those keyboard sounds, unless you really want yourself some widgets, then the differences are not significant enough to risk it if you have some stuff. If you're like me and you just like jumping in and playing with things and having some fun, then do it. And again, there's been no one that's had a devastating failure, like no bricking of devices, no deleting of like massive amounts of projects, no one that's unable to function, but just some annoying little tidbits here and there that have annoyed people. So I think you're fine. We're going to finish off in about 2 minutes' time. So if you have any final thoughts, any final words of wisdom or final questions before we finish up, we will do that. I pressed the wrong one there. Deep Gravity says, what the fornication are widgets? So widgets are the little things. If you play around, can I show one on here? I'll see if I can get. I have none on here as well at the moment, and I'll see. Is that going to show anything? Excuse me. So I think I can show this. It's got no personal data on there. So these are your widgets. So over here on the left, we'll pop that off there. Yeah, so these are widgets that they're basically like app icons, and you can drag them to different screens. I think I haven't played around with them that much, so I think you can like put these as part of. Oh, it's not. Oh wow, the mouse support here has just died, but we can like do that, can we? No, I don't know. To answer your question, I don't know. But I think you can do different things and move them around and put them on different screens or do something. But yeah, they're like bigger versions. So yeah, so there's your battery one. What is it? Android has had that for years, and I think iOS is just trying to catch up. Excuse me. I think you can tell by the frog that's coming in my throat that things aren't that I need to finish up here. You can't do it on an iPad. There you go. So it must be an iPhone thing that you can move those around and put them on your different screens and do your things with them. But yeah, I'm not a big widget person. I'm so programmed. I've been programmed by Apple for how long to have everything in a nice grid, to have everything lining up and looking like that, yeah, I can't go back now. I've crossed over. I've crossed over to the point where they've trained me. I see people's Android phones and they've got things in all different places, and I'm like, how do you cope? How do you do it? I don't get it. Alrighty, well, we are going to finish up there, but thank you for helping me, for all the folks that have been helping out, that have provided feedback, that have let me know what's working, what's not working for you. It seems that the major bugs that we're having at the moment are still things like those app icons, which is not exactly a deal breaker, but a little bit annoying. And some people having issues with things like FX and things like plugins not functioning. And some older projects, and this is always going to happen when you have a new version, some of your older projects, it loads them, and then they don't work. Word of warning, one final warning before we go. If you are using the new version and you have another device with the old version. The second you open that on the new one, it will save it as a new version and you will not be able to open it again on your older device. So if, like me, you're using two different devices, I came into this problem on my iPhone. I haven't updated my iPhone yet, so don't open anything on an iOS 14 device. If you ever want to open it again on an iOS 13 or earlier, you will not be able to do it. So we'll make that my last word of warning for this one. And as Jade is saying here, you can indeed keep up with the news and the shows and join the mailing list over at studiolivetoday.com. That is going to do it for this one. Thanks so much, everyone, for being here and for your time today. Should you update, I think you've had an hour and 20 minutes of information about it. It comes down to you. If you're doing a critical thing, don't update. If you want to try it out and experiment and you're not in the middle of a critical project that you need to get done by a certain date, then it's worth updating and testing it out. Thanks, everyone, for being here. Please be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and keep creating. I'll see you soon. Bye now.